thousands of scam calls and messages, which appear as if they're from a government agency, have been stopped from reaching potential victims right across the country. A 12-month pilot program by the federal government blocked more than 2,500 scam texts during that time, as they warn other large organisations to apply the same measures. Joining me live now is the Minister for Communications, Paul Fletcher. Thanks so much for your time. We weren't meant to speak to you yesterday, but house duties got in the way. But thank you so much for coming back on today. What happened? Because a couple of months ago, these scam text messages seemed to explode across everyone's phone. So what did happen? What was causing it?
Yes, thanks, Lauren, and good to be with you. And thanks for the opportunity to come back after, as you say, not being able to join yesterday due to a division. So we have had a sharp uptick in the number of scam texts. And I think most Australians have experienced that. My mum has certainly complained to me about it. And we've been doing quite a lot of work on it. Now, one of the particular problem areas has been texts that appear to come from a respected organisation like Medicare, like Centrelink and so on. And so the text will have in the top line Medicare, Centrelink, and so you're inclined to trust it. But we've had a lot of these coming from scammers. So what we've done is we've used some technology. The telcos, Telstra, Optus, TPG, Vodafone, working with these organisations like Medicare, like Centrelink, also MyGov. And what they can now do is check that the text is coming from the authenticated equipment within the legitimate sender. And if so, the text will go through. Otherwise, the text gets blocked. And so we started with the trial, successfully blocked some 2,500 texts. That is now in operation, working very effectively with Centrelink, Services Australia and others, quite a range of government organisations. And I've now approached a range of other organisations, including NBN, Australia Post. I've written to the Bankers Association, encouraging them to take up this technology as well. So it does require the legitimate organisation to work with the telco, but we've proven it to work, and this is about giving Australians greater confidence in texts that are coming in. There are things we can all do to protect ourselves, but there are also things we can do within the network, and this builds on the work we've done to be blocking scam calls, and so far over 214 million scam calls have been blocked using similar kinds of software, and now we're taking this approach in relation to scam texts.
Well, look, I've got both, and I think many people have scam calls and texts, and they're getting more sophisticated, I've got to say. It's hard to tell the difference between a real one, if it's from DHL or Australia Post or someone calling about your credit card. How are they getting our number in the first place?
Well, these are criminal operations, mostly from offshore, pumping out very high volumes of calls and texts. And the business model is if only a small percentage, very small percentage of people fall for it, then they do very well. So it's important that we're doing things within the network to protect, and there is a lot of work going on, as I've just mentioned. There are also some things we can all do as individuals. Just be aware of some of the scams that are going around. There's a scam text going around at the moment called FluBot. So the thing to watch out for there is if you get a text that has within it a link to click on, be very wary. Unless you're absolutely certain that's coming from an authentic source, don't click on it, because that's the way that FluBot has been operating. And once it gets onto your handset, that can cause some significant problems. So the telcos have been doing a lot of work to block substantial numbers of those scam texts, but just be aware of that. The other standard advice, if you get a call from a number you don't recognise, don't answer it, let it go through to voicemail. Now, for people of my age and older, that's a bit different to the telephone etiquette we're all taught growing up, but times have changed, and so it's important that we do the things we can to protect ourselves, as well as the work that's going on within the networks. If you do feel you've been a victim of a scam, please report it to scamwatch.gov.au, and there's good advice there on the practical steps if that happens, things like changing your passwords.
Okay, can you block them completely?
This is a continuing battle. We're using technology against the scammers, and particularly what we're focused on is these high volume operations. And so we've made some pretty solid progress since 2020 when the Reducing Scam Calls Code took effect. There's more work going on within the telco regulatory space. And I want to acknowledge the work that the telcos have done, the work of the Australian Communications and Media Authority within my portfolio as well. But there is more work to do, and it is a constant battle because of the technology the scammers are using. What's important is to, as it were, harden the target. So, for example, with Centrelink, once we've put this protection in place, what we've noticed is the number of scams, purported scam texts has died away very quickly. So the scammers will go away and try and find soft targets.
Yep.
What we're seeking to do is put the safeguards in place within the network, but as well as making sure Australians are aware of the risk and the things that you can do to protect yourself.
Well, here I am thinking that I was being punished for all that online shopping being a soft target, but it's far and wide. Paul Fletcher, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it.